Lara had always been the kind of woman who lit up a room. Her laughter was infectious, her kindness unmatched. But after the birth of her second child, things started to change. The baby weight clung to her, no matter how hard she tried. Emra, her husband, who had once called her his queen, began to drift away. At first it was subtle. He stopped complimenting her. Then he stopped looking at her altogether. The distance grew colder each day. Lara tried harder new diets, late-night workouts, carefully prepared dinners, but nothing seemed to bring Emra back. One evening, after a particularly tense silence at dinner, Emra finally spoke. "Lara, this isn't working anymore. I don't feel the same way." Lara looked up, her eyes wide. "What do you mean?" "I mean, you've let yourself go. I can't pretend anymore. I want a divorce." The words crashed into her like a tidal wave. She sat frozen, the food on her plate untouched. The man she had shared her life with, who had held her hand during childbirth, was now abandoning her because her body had changed. A week later, Emra moved out. Not long after, photos surfaced of him with Selena Slim, glamorous woman from his office. Lara's heartbreak turned to humiliation. Friends whispered, neighbors judged, and she was left alone to pick up the pieces. 4 days, Lara couldn't get out of bed. She cried until her eyes stung and barely ate. But one morning, as she looked at her reflection, puffy eyes, messy hair, the echo of who she used to be, something inside her shifted. She whispered to herself, "This is not how my story ends." She started slow, walks around the neighborhood, swapping processed food for fresh produce, joining a support group for women going through divorces. Each day was a battle, but Lara was no stranger to hard work. She signed up for a personal trainer, learned about nutrition, and most importantly, worked on healing her heart. Her body began to change, but so did her mindset. She read self-help books, journaled daily, and began documenting her journey online. Her social media account gained traction. Women from around the world resonated with her honesty and courage. From rock bottom to rising, she captioned one post that went viral. Months turned into a year. Lara had lost the weight, but she had gained something far greater: confidence, purpose, and a community. She launched a wellness brand promoting self-love and realistic health goals. She was no longer the woman Emra had discarded. She was stronger, smarter, and shining brighter than ever. Lara had managed not to give up on life, despite the pain she had experienced in the past. She was now living in one of the elite neighborhoods of Istanbul and working as an editor for a prestigious fashion magazine. She was a woman who was respected in the business world. When she looked in the mirror, she was not only seeing a beautiful and elegant woman, but also a strong and independent, free person. But there was an unhealed wound inside her, Emra. That morning, when Lara entered her office, her secretary approached her excitedly. "Ms. Lara, there is someone who wants to meet you. His name is Emra. He's waiting outside." Lara froze for a moment. Her heart started beating wildly, but her face did not reflect anything. "Come in," she said in a calm voice. When Emra entered, he couldn't believe his eyes. He could barely believe that the woman in front of him was Lara. The woman he knew, humiliated and abandoned, was gone. Instead, an elegant, confident, and dazzling woman had come. "Hello," Emra said, a little shyly. "Hello," Lara said. Her voice was cold but controlled. "It's been a long time. I know you were surprised to see me, but I'm so sorry, Lara. I really am. For what I did to you, for not being able to love you as you are, for leaving you like that. Lara was silent for a while. Then she stood up and walked towards the window. "Emra, when you left me, I didn't just lose you. I also lost my faith in myself. I didn't cry, I didn't beg, but I fought a war inside me every night. I rebuilt myself, brick by brick. Now you're in front of me, and you're saying you regret it." Emra bowed his head. "Because I still love you. And now I understand that, Appearances aren't everything. The woman inside. I see that woman now. I know I'm late, but..." Lara held herself back, even though her eyes filled with tears. No, Emra, you're not late. You just knocked on the right door at the wrong time. I'm not the old Lara anymore. I don't need your love. It doesn't honor me that you came to my door after all these years and begged for forgiveness. On the contrary, it reminds me of every pain inside me. Emra was silent. Lara continued talking. You waited for me to lose weight, to become more beautiful. But I grew as a person. I loved myself. I valued myself. I have no intention of surrendering this value to anyone anymore. Especially to take you back into my life. No. This is not my revenge, Emra. This is my respect for myself. Lara opened the door to her office. You can leave as you left. But this time, when you turn around, you are not leaving a woman torn apart, but a proud and upright woman behind. Emra stood up slowly. His eyes were filled with tears, but this time there was no point in crying. His neck was bent in the face of Lara's strength. He bowed his head, walked out the door, and quietly walked away. When the door closed, Lara took a deep breath. She touched her heart with her hands. The burden inside her had lightened. At that moment, she realized that true revenge was not about leaving someone else in pain, but about repairing and strengthening herself. And she had done it. After Emra walked out of her office, Lara took a deep breath. It felt like a heavy weight she had carried for years had finally been lifted. That day, she realized something powerful. Forgiveness isn't a favor, it's freedom. And forgiving yourself, that's the greatest victory of all. Later that night, Lara sat on her balcony with a glass of wine. The cool breeze brushed against her skin, and the city lights flickered in the distance like a quiet symphony. Her thoughts no longer lingered in the past. She wasn't a broken woman anymore. She was someone who had healed her own wounds. Life's greatest gift to her was not protection, but transformation. Then, she made a decision. She was going to share her story. The following week, Lara was invited to speak at a women's empowerment summit. The hall was packed. Looking into the audience, she saw not just strangers but reflections of her former self. When she took the microphone, she began with a simple line. When he left me, I weighed 207 pounds. But the pain didn't break, MIT rebuilt me. The room fell silent. Lara opened up about the heartbreak, the breakdown, the journey through fire and back. She spoke with no shame, no blame, but her words reached into every heart. When she finished, there were tears followed by a standing ovation. Lara wasn't just a fashion editor anymore. She had become a symbol of strength. Her social media exploded. Every day, she received messages from women sharing similar stories, thanking her. Because of you, I found the courage to stand again. One day, she was invited to appear on a talk show. The host asked her, if Emra came back, would you give him another chance? Lara smiled. Now, I give that chance to myself first. Months passed. Lara founded a nonprofit organization to help disadvantaged young women, offering coaching, style workshops, and personal development classes. She made it her mission to help other women discover the power within them. She never heard from Emra again, but she felt no bitterness. His greatest punishment was knowing the incredible woman he had lost. And Lara, she looked in the mirror every morning and said, I don't need anyone's approval. I am enough. I am strong. I am the hero of my own story.